George Bernard Shaw was spot on when he said the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's taking place. Now, most of us think we're great communicators, but sadly, very often, that's not the case. Communication is often a lot more complicated than we think it is. So here's my top tip for how to improve your communication skills. And I want to start with an analogy that I tend to use quite a lot to help us understand my tip. So computers have been designed really based on people. Now, what I mean by that is the computer I have sitting on my desk, even my laptop, possibly even my phone, roughly speaking, about 98% of the memory capacity of that computer is the hard drive. About 2% of the memory capacity is RAM, random access memory. And people are very much like that. We've got our conscious awareness, which is our RAM, and that is only taking in about 2% of anything that's happening at any given moment in time. And then we've got our hard drive, our subconscious, where all the information's going in and we're storing it, but often we're blissfully unaware of it. Now, all computers have an operating system, Microsoft or whatever it might be. And then on top of that operating system sits lots and lots and lots of different software packages, different ways of operating. And people are no different to that. We have a base operating system, stuff that's there to keep our heart beating, keep us breathing, fight and flight responses, those sorts of things, deep psychological responses that have been around for millions of years. And that's our base operating system. But on top of that sits lots and lots and lots of different applications, different ways that we communicate, different ways that we process information, and different things that we focus our conscious attention on. Now, one of the realities of communication and what makes it so difficult is, left to our own devices, when we're just firing off the hard drive, firing off our subconscious and not thinking about it, we have a tendency to communicate with people in our software, in our code, in the way that works best for us. Now, my number one tip, and although it sounds obvious, it can be really challenging, but my number one tip to improve your communication skills is to start to communicate in the other person's code. Start to identify their communication habits, and when you want to give an important message to them, give it in a way that makes sense to them. So you have to do the transferring rather than the receiver. So you know what it's like. If you've got an email and an attachment and you want to send it to people, if they've got exactly the same software that you created the attachment in, they'll get it, no trouble. But if they've got different versions, even of the same software, there may be one or two glitches, one or two hieroglyphics or whatever, and that will carry on right through to some people simply not being able to open the file. And people are no different. So my top tip to improve your communication skills is to focus your attention on communicating in the code of the other person.